Video games. A major part of our modern society, video games have definitely left an imprint on our culture. But I ask you, at what cost? Good evening. I'm Samir Refutation, and I will be refuting the speech delivered by our classmate Marcus Beals. I will be refuting the claim by my opponent that video games have a positive effect on children's development. I'll go about proving this by showing how, unlike what Marcus would like you to believe, video games do not improve self-esteem, do not improve critical thinking, and do not develop teamwork skills in children. First, I will discuss the effect that video games have on a child's self-esteem. Marcus would like you to believe that because video games have special goals and step-by-step goal accomplishing believe that video games have special goals, and step-by-step goal accomplishing helps children feel a sense of accomplishment and thus improve their self-esteem. Unfortunately, the truth of the matter is that children do not represent the bulk of the video game playing society. According to a study conducted by the Center for Disease Control in 2006, the average gamer is about 35 years old, overweight, and clinically depressed. In addition, when compared to non-gamer children, the study shows that children video gamers have a higher average body mass index, a higher likelihood to develop arthritis and carpal tunnel syndrome, and are more likely to develop social addictions such as alcoholism, all of which are signs of physical unhealthiness. These in turn lead to a lowered sense of self-esteem, which for many children causes them to seek comfort in the one thing that does not judge them, video games. Further, let us consider the delicate psyche of children. You take, for example, Xbox Live. On said gaming network, many children play alongside adults in competitive environments, such as Halo and Call of Duty. However, in many such games, there is rampant use of trash talk by older gamers, some of which can grow rather violent and vulgar. In proof of this, we can see a number of videos on YouTube displaying parents videotaping their children listening to such trash talk, as well as children emulating such behavior. Now, you tell me, what can kill a child's self-esteem as greatly as being called such words as faggot and little bitch? But video games aren't just affecting our children emotionally. They're affecting them in critical thinking. Second, I will discuss the effect video games have on the development of children's critical thinking skills. Marcus would like you to believe that because children have to play a level over and over again in order to advance, they develop critical thinking skills. However, I would like to point out the flaws in Marcus's reasoning. The evidence Marcus presented from ArsTechnica.com, which spoke about a comparison of gamers and non-gamer skills in observations of trends, is insufficient to make a strong reasoning. In this experiment, subjects were asked to look at a set of randomly moving dots and tell the proctor whether the dots seemed to be moving in a definite direction as a group. While the gamers did make a more accurate prediction as to the trends of the dots' movements, this does not lie in the user having better critical thinking skills, but rather from having to notice movement in order to succeed in such games such as Call of Duty. In addition, according to a recent article by Science Daily, video games were actually able to impair a child's ability to use critical thinking skills. This is because an increased dependence on visual media technologies to make connections and understand patterns, meaning that while a child may be proficient at math on a video game does not mean that these skills will carry on into real life. Further, take the example of the recent Wii game, New Super Mario Bros. In this game, there's an option to autoplay, quite literally, have a computer complete a level for you if you're having trouble. Due to there being no limit to the number of times you can download the game's plotline, this means that many children may exploit this and will be allowed to accept that they need not put critical thinking skills in when they can get through the level because the computer will do it for them. However, it is not just the computer that is hampering development. It is also the gamer's fellow players. I will discuss the third point Marcus made on video games promoting teamwork. Now, while it is true that a number of games are very multiplayer-oriented, this does not mean that multiplayer itself is conducive to good teamwork skills. Take the Xbox Live version of Call of Duty Black Ops. As a COD player myself, I'm not unfamiliar to how a real multiplayer match goes down. It starts civilized enough, but with everyone following the orders, whoever gets the first kill. But eventually it degrades into a state of team leaders being the loudest shouter, rather than the best tactician. Because this mindset becomes follow the loudest and most profane shouter or die, teamwork is left undeveloped among players, and leadership skills themselves may also deteriorate. In such an environment, it is clear that children may eventually lose the good habits multiplayer is supposed to promote, and instead pick up the profane habits that it inevitably becomes. In closing, while I do love video games, and do believe that they have good potential as a teaching tool, I am also required to admit that they are not, at least in their current state, ready for being used as such. Thank you.
All right, I thought the organization was fine. I thought the presentation was really solid. You did a good job talking to the audience for the most part, and there was good variety in your voice, nice emphasis on some of the issues that you're talking about to accentuate your point of view. You sound like you understand the point that you're trying to make, and you're clearly expressing it in a confident way to the audience, so that works really well. I do think you could do a little bit more analysis of the advocate's evidence. The one challenge on the study was an interesting one, on the one study was an interesting one, but that seemed to be about as far as it went. It didn't sound like there was much evidence on that particular point. It's your inference on those points. You did have some good counterclaims, though, and you usually followed those up with some good evidence, but sometimes it sounded like the information that you were citing was being paraphrased as opposed to being quoted directly, and you want to make sure that you use more direct quotes. All right, so whatever it is that you've got to go to.